For many who might not know, I actually grew up in the city of Boston in the 70s and 80s when the city of Boston was not the most safe of cities. So I've actually been around gun violence that was not school shooting gun violence growing up. Now in Parkland, obviously, we had the tragedy and that put us all into the forefront. I had gone to several roundtables, though, with Ted Deutsch and others, so prior to February 14th, to learn more about gun violence, but also to listen to gun owners to kind of understand where they're coming from. Because I think in order to get anything done, you really do have to work together. It still baffles me that we don't have universal background checks. It's something that I and a bipartisan group of mayors went up to DC to advocate for. And if you talk to most gun owners, they are in favor of universal background checks because the whole goal is to make sure that people who are a threat or a harm or threaten harm to themselves or someone else don't have a gun in their hands. I think we pretty much all agree on that. And it's unfortunate that we haven't gotten that far along yet. Additionally, safe storage is a no-brainer. We all want responsible gun owners. I know in our household, if the kids aren't responsible with their things, they don't get to have them. And so I'm not sure I think the Moms Demand Action, Mayors Against Illegal Guns, there's been that great movement to do safe storage, but I think we need to strengthen our safe storage laws. We have had incidents in our own city of Parkland where people are leaving their guns unsecured in automobiles where the doors are unlocked. And that gun will obviously get into the hands of someone who shouldn't have it. And we need to do everything we can to make sure things like that don't happen. But number one, I want to thank you guys for all the work you do. Whenever you travel anywhere in the country, and it's about gun violence, the red shirts show up, the Moms Demand Action people show up, and I have to tell you, you bring smiles to people's faces, and your advocacy and you're just being all in and doing what you do means so much. So I just want to thank all of you for the work that you put in and day out for these causes. Universal background checks. Even last session, there was Senate Bill 7028 that was making an attempt to close some of the loopholes, and that was brought forth by a Republican member of the Senate, and still didn't get any further. My argument for universal background checks is this. Florida did a great job right after February 14th of implementing red flag laws. Red flag laws have done an amazing job in our state, but if you have a red flag on your record, you can still purchase a gun if you can work around the background checks because the red flag won't show up. So in my opinion, it's really important to continue the messaging of how the two work together. If the goal is really to make sure that someone who is determined to have a red flag or to be a threat to themselves or someone else shouldn't have a gun, then we should also be mandating the universal background checks so that that red flag can be caught. So to have one without the other is kind of like having it half done. And the universal background checks, in my opinion, only further complement the red flag laws and make them more effective so that they can do what even the legislators voted them in to be doing.
Great, thanks.
And of course, safe storage. I think the age needs to be raised. I think it needs to be more than where someone could reasonably think it's safe. It needs to be locked up. It needs to have a trigger lock. So I think that needs to be tightened up and the age raised to under 18, not just up to 16 with the safe storage laws. Much how I talked about the universal background checks is how I would like to talk to my colleagues, should I be so lucky to be elected. I'm pretty sure we will be in the minority party, but I'm not afraid to have those conversations and to have the conversation. Again, the red flag approval ratings are through the roof, the red flag laws. So if you want those to be effective, you need to pair it with closing the private sale loophole. Otherwise, it's not going to show up. So my argument and my advocacy would be to show how you need the universal background check in order to make the red flag law as strong as it can be. And listen, I'm also I want to go talk to my colleagues and I want to listen to their perspectives. I have never been afraid to sit down with gun owners and talk about, you know, where the interests are. And again, the universal background checks have a huge approval rating. So I would really, those would be the avenues that I would take. And the argument would be that the universal background check really supports the red flag law that is already established law within the state of Florida. And just to add on about the ghost guns, the U.S. Conference of Mayors has their committee tomorrow on criminal and social justice. And one of the resolutions that is being put forth, and I was one of the co-sponsors on it, is to get rid of the ghost guns, to oppose ghost guns. So the U.S. Conference of Mayors is also paying attention to that unfortunate situation.